Hey, this is Linda with 6 Acres Farm, and today I'm going to show you how I'm going to refinish this antique washstand. This was a piece that I purchased at an auction that was actually in a barn. It was one of 7 or 8 pieces that I got at the time, so I have been hanging on to it. It's the last piece I have and the one that I did save for my own farmhouse. It's a little bit bulky, but I got it retrieved and I got it up on my platform so that I can sand it and paint it. There's something really unusual that I found about this piece. Watch my fingers there. But the piece is all slats. There is no nails, no screws. It is put together with something called a Knapp, Knapp joint. This is what they used. It was introduced in the 1867, I believe, and it was only used, there it is, you can see it, those little dark spots all the way across. Those are wooden little pins that are in there that are holding those drawers together. I did not know the history about this when I started working on it, and I looked it up and did a little bit of research. They only used this, the furniture makers only used this for 30 years, and they stopped using it around 1900. So the furniture manufacturers then became, I guess they wanted to do quicker, so they started using dovetail for their furniture. So everything is slats, and at some point you'll see there's light going between the slats, and I just had to reposition them. They're more like tongue and groove. It's almost like shiplap. So, but there was no nails, absolutely no nails. The only screws that was on there was the cabinets, the drawers. When I pulled those out, they had it was a screw with a nut that was actually attached. And you can see in the back there, see those slats, and you can see the light coming through those. I did reposition those and fix those. So I first put a gray, it's a chalk paint. So I first put that on there to give it a base, and I'm going to do what is a 2-color, and then I will distress it. First, I did take the sander, the rotary sander, and I scuffed it up. You can see where I scuffed everything up, and I wanted to get some of that. If there was any varnish or stain or anything that was on it, I wanted to get that off of there. So this is my first coat, and it is the gray. I am going to leave the inside natural, so I will not paint any of that. And as you can see, there's one drawer, there's one door, 2 drawers, and then the long drawer at the top. So this will go into my bathroom that I'm remodeling. And I hope you stay with me to the end. This is part 1 because it is quite lengthy. What I do, this is what I have been doing for the last 10 years when I was doing antiquing. So this is just one of those, and I love the washstands. I will use it in the new bathroom. So, and as you can see here, I'm just, it's a cheap brush, and I'm just putting a light coat on it. What I want to do is when I distress it, I want a little bit of that natural wood and a little bit of that gray coming through. The back, there's a back little board splash on the back. I will paint that also. And you'll see shortly what I intend to do with the top. But it's a beautiful piece. It's lightweight. It's actually very lightweight. So there is, the only thing I'm going to add to it is I'm going to add the little things on the feet that have so that it won't scratch my new wood flooring. So I'm going to put those little furniture pads on it. But it is a beautiful piece of wood, and it would be pretty if I just stained it, put new stain on it. But I like the distressed look, and my floors are really close to this color, so I don't want it the same color as my floors. That's why I decided to go ahead and distress it, and I think you'll be excited to see the end result. I have done many, many pieces in this style, and I never kept them long in my antique booth. So as you can see now, I have sped it up so that it's a little bit quicker than just normal speed, so that I'll get you through it, because it is quite lengthy. But I wanted to show you the whole process of what I'm doing to refinish this antique washstand. And see, I'm not doing it in the direct sunlight either, because this paint, it dries really quick, and I love chalk paint because it leaves a nice hard shell as it cures. It takes several weeks to really cure fully, and I will put a wax finish over the top of it. So that'll be in the second part. But the first part is going to be the 2 coats of paint. So we'll get through the gray, and then we'll get through the white. I'll reposition some of those parts. There is nothing on it that I really need to repair. There is one crack on the door that's coming down the center, and you can see that. But I like some of the old-fashioned footprints, and it is not in any danger of coming apart. You know what? I take that back. There was some little nails in that hinge. That was the only thing where I found a nail. That was not done with those little pegboards. So that I take that back. I just realized that the hinges were the only thing that was doing that. But as you can see, I'm not putting a lot of paint, and I'm not only putting 1 coat of each paint. So that will protect the wood. And see, I've repositioned that little slat board. It was a little off center, probably because I turned it upside down to drag it over here from where I had it stored. But it takes me about 4 hours start to finish this project. So we're gonna speed it up in many places so that you don't have to watch it for 4 hours. But overall, from start to finish, that's what it took me to complete it and to get it moved into the house. So the next part, I'm almost finished with this part. The next part will be I flip it over, and I'll show you what I'm doing to the top. I really wanted the scars and the dings and the chips and anything naturally that had been on top. There was a water stain or some type of stain at one time, and it may have been because it was in a barn and the barn leaked. But there was a stain on the top. It's kind of dark, and I'll show you how I lighten that up a little bit. But I don't take it completely out because I want you to see what a pretty piece this is going to end up being. Okay, so next you see I start to paint the top, and then I remembered, oh no, I wanted the top to be natural, and I'm going to stain it, and I painted about half of it, and then I realized that I need to get that off of there. I got a wet paper towel and an actual little kitchen scrubber, and I scrubbed most of it off, and then I sanded it after it dried a little bit. And as you can see, most of it is gone, but it's just one of those things that if it was sitting in a farmhouse, it may have been painted at one time. And when you have little chips and dings, it's very difficult to get all of the paint off, and I just really didn't want it all off. So as you can see, right here is when I realized, I thought, oh, darn it. So I start wiping it off and trying to get it off before it dries. And it's pretty successful. So yeah, I did get it off at that point, and I have the little scrubber in the towel there. It's one of those little copper scrubbers, and so it just kind of abrasive. And then I take 220 sanding paper and I sand it down, and it actually turns out pretty nice. So I was happy with it. I could have went ahead and painted it because I started, but I really, that's not what I wanted to do in the beginning. That was not the idea I had in my head. So I went ahead and took it off. And I do have a product that is an orange gel that will take any paint off, but I didn't really want to use it. So then I just kind of did some hand sanding. But as you can see, I got most of it. I did clean up the edges along the backsplash there. I did that. And I painted it already. Now I will add the white layer when I get this tape down, because I don't want to paint it. So I put some blue tape on that, and that is the reason I did that, is because now I want to paint that backsplash white, and I don't want any white on the top. So as you can see, it's a little process, and I have a little kitty friend there that ever so often you see him. He does hide in the drawers and in the cabinet and stuff. You have to watch pretty close, but he is in there. So I've already sanded the drawers, and I did sand them in between the two layers a little bit. And then I will put the second layer on. I did not paint the inside of the drawers either. But at one time, I may put like paper inside of it if I decide to do something different. But now I start my white layer, and I do the very same thing as I did on my gray layer. And this is the double layer. I have put as many as 4 layers of paint on different projects before, but I do like the 2 layer. It goes by pretty quickly. Like I said, it took me 4 hours, but that really wasn't bad. It was a nice project, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful end project. As you can see, the top now, it still has some dark stain on it, and it has a little bit of the gray paint, but that just adds character as far as I'm concerned, and it's just for me. But like I said, I've done many projects with this style, and it's pretty common. But nowadays you can find it where it's done in a factory. It's not done by hand like this. So I get the white layer completely done, and I will do a little bit of sanding if I need it. But as you can see, the inside's very pretty too. It is. It's very pretty. So I think I'm about done with that. And then I'll work on the top again. Okay, so this is the very last step that I will do of the painting. As you can see, everything is natural inside the shelving and the piece. I have cedar oil and tung oil that I can put inside and condition the wood inside. Make it smell a little better too, because it does smell like an older piece. But this is the portion that I stop here. And next I will put the stain and the wax on the piece totally all the way around. Stain will go on top, of course, and wax will go over the whole piece. And at the very end, I can also, and usually do, put beeswax on the countertop. And it'll make it a nice hard protectant. So I hope you stay with me on the next one.